Hi, Richard. Um, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you
I'm
hear me?
Oh, now you just came on.
Now you can hear me. So
Yay.
we're going to start. Live, everyone. We are live. This is not Memorex.
Woohoo!
Some of us are old enough to remember what that means. Major storm here last night. And I don't know what happened. There was like a peal of thunder in the middle of the night, which literally knocked me out of bed. It was so loud. And I think that somehow it played around with my sound system on my mic. And there's no way of really knowing that until we go live. But
Right.
we are live now. And today we're talking about inspiration. So, Anne, who or what are you celebrating today? And who or what inspires you?
Well, I guess I'm going to, because it's about inspiration, I did think about it and I thought, well, I today am celebrating Barry Kleinbort and Christopher Denny, my little team. Um, and when it comes to inspiration, I'm one of those people who, uh, as an adult, my whole adult life, I so have confidence in my sixth sense. There is just something that it's I it's not tangible, but I know when something comes to me and it's not from fear and it's not from my brain, it just comes from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And and so I feel like, to be honest with you, I'm inspired often, and I have to kind of manage it all because, I'm taking in so much different things. But I was thinking about your question about, okay, well, yeah, but what, what's recently inspired you? Well, when I went down to work at Puerto Vallarta earlier this year, I fell so in love with that place, and one of the things that was really great about it was that, they all speak English. And so to go as a English speaking performer and perform there, no problem. Everyone speaks English. It's all fine. Now their natural language is Spanish, but everyone speaks English. And I'm one of those poorly educated Americans who I can speak a little French. That's about it. Um, and when I was, that's it. And so when I was in, Puerto Vallarta, I met so many wonderful people, and it was just a life changing experience to know that a place like that exists. I mean, I really fell in love with it, and talking to people. And I'm looking at them, and I remember the last was one of the last nights I was there, and I was at dinner with some friends, from Puerto Vallarta that I had made, and I just sat there thinking, there's no way I am coming back and not singing in their language. I mean, you know, they love their language and their culture so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of, person that I am, that I don't, like I said, I'm not bad with French, but otherwise nothing. And I'm always very hopeful that everyone else is going to be able to take care of me and speak English, right?
Have you
And
ever sung in another language?
Latin, I mean, I used to sing classical. Yeah, I mean, in classical music, I would sing, a few arias here and there. But so, we're adding a song in Spanish, to the current show that we're doing, because that's what we're going to be bringing to Puerto Vallarta, in a few months. And I can't even tell you how exciting it is. I'm lucky because Christopher Denny, who is my music director, one of the two people I'm celebrating, is fluent in Spanish. And, Barry Kleinbort is fluent in class. He's just very classy. And so we just finished, it took us a few weeks, but we just finished our arrangement yesterday. And now that the arrangement's done, now I'm inspired by that. So it's like I cannot wait to get in front of that Puerto Vallarta audience and show them some love and say, "You know what? I did this for you because you're listening to me. I'm really, really, I can't even tell you how excited I am. And I hope I sound good. Chris promised me he won't let me go on stage if I don't sound right. So
Well, I'm thrilled that you're going to be doing this again at Chelsea Table and Stages.
yeah,
I stages and chairs, any of that. I was at your
exactly.
show the last time, and I hope to come back because I
Oh,
loved it that much.
oh.
But when you are approaching a song in another language, are you approaching it the same way that you would approach any other song you're doing in the show?
Absolutely not. I had to, I even said to, because we've been working on it for a few weeks, and I do everything in layers. So I guess if I'm going to say, do I approach it the same way? In that way, yes. But with this, the layer begins with just being able to speak the words correctly and then understand what the words mean, and culturally what is the message of this song, how does it interpret differently in cultures, right? And I actually mentioned to my team yesterday at rehearsal, I said, I said, I've never felt this way before. I said, but I feel like I'm at this point, I'm learning a song like paint by numbers, where
Wow.
like I'm trying to just really get, you know, and and I have plenty of time. I've got almost 2 months before we do the show again, but I
Now,
and
when are you going back to Puerto Vallarta?
oh, Puerto Vallarta in January.
Okay, okay. Well,
But we
I want to bring on our next guest. You're going to stick around because we're going to talk more about this.
yeah,
But I want you to be inspired, and I want you to pull a number 1 through 4, and we'll see who you bring up next.
3.
And I am so excited to be bringing her up. She's actually going to be at Don't Tell Mama on Sunday night. I'm going to be there, and I want to talk about something that I know that inspires her, and that's second chances.
Definitely.
So that's the theme of your show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Richard.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person. I
Yeah.
had a little problem with your video when we tried to do it before. I'm not even going to attempt because I don't know that I will throw everything out of kilter. But you have an incredible team. Bobby Pico, that I have known Bobby since the 80s when he
Right.
used to be the pianist at the Monster. That's where I used to see him. And you have Faith Prince as your director.
I
So you've
do.
got quite a team.
I love my team. They're amazing. And Bobby is going to be live with me on piano. He's coming up to New York to play the show. And working with Faith and Bobby has been an amazing experience. And we've worked on this show for a while, and we're really excited to bring it to New York and to the New York audience, to us family, friends, and New Yorkers.
That's now. Have you done this show before, or will this be the debut?
No, I did the show in Florida about a year ago. We've worked on it. We've made some modifications, and then I did it in Boston about a month ago. And now I'm bringing it here.
No, where in Boston did you do the show?
Web Cafe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
Well,
great. We had a great time.
that's great. Do you have a different approach to doing the show in, let's say, here in New York than you do for the Florida audiences? Because the Florida audiences, you have a lot of friends up here as well,
Yes,
but Florida is your home.
correct. Well, the core of the show is really basically the same. There were some modifications that we thought would be more fun for a Florida audience,
Mhm.
especially with respect to the encore number. And then in New York, we sort of changed that a little bit, but it's similar. And we sort of bookended the show a little different for this version of it. The one that we did in Boston was pretty much the one we did in Florida. But again, the encore number had a little change. So, that's kind of where we tailor it. The heart of the story, since it's somewhat autobiographical, pretty much remains intact.
I want to talk about what inspires you outside of being on stage. Um, I mean, when you're putting a show together,
Mhm.
um, do you have other modalities that you look to for inspiration, such as dance or even songs that are not part of the framework of the show that you're doing, books, television? What do you look
Absolutely.
for when you're putting something together?
Well, I kind of look at what I think moves me. I like all kinds of music. I mean, most of the music that I sing is, more musical theater standards, some pop, but not like super contemporary. Although I've kind of gone in a direction where I've tried some things in stylistically to put into more of a cabaret or a one woman show type of venue. But I do look to, I mean, I see a lot of concerts. I see a lot of theater, and I really feel like I draw inspiration from just like good work.
Mhm.
And I draw a lot of inspiration from my family. I'm a mother, and my son has really got to see me reinvent myself as this performer, which is pretty incredible. And he's kind of come along on the ride, and my husband as well, and my family. So they've sort of that's what Take Two. That's why it's kind of interesting. The people that have known me a really long time are going to see a whole journey, and the people that have known me in this sort of second half of my life are going to kind of see what my life was like before. So it's kind of neat for me.
Now, I've always said, and I are like almost soulmates. I would consider you a soulmate, Anne. Um, but I love being on stage in front of an audience. But I also love to be in the audience. When I am being inspired by someone on stage, it's like a drug for me. And as I see them succeeding, who are some of the artists that inspire you that you love being in the audience for?
Well, I mean, notably Faith Prince. I saw Boot 4 times. So that was great. But I just saw Just in Time, and Jonathan Groff was amazing. And I saw him in Merrily, and I saw him in Springs Awakening before it even moved to Broadway. So for years when I wasn't performing, I was like the number one junkie of the arts, and I would come to New York and I'd see a million things and come home and talk about it. Um, I love let me just I mean, I've seen a lot of what's on Broadway right now. I'm inspired by I've seen concerts with Kristen Chenoweth and Audra McDonald and a lot of people that come to Florida. Um, I love theater performers. Notably, I got to the opportunity to see The Seagull in the Park with Meryl Streep and Kevin Kline and Philip Seymour Hoffman. So I sort of just love to watch great productions and good work. But I also really love. I'm a teacher. I teach at New World School of the Arts in Miami in their BFA program, and I teach privately. And another thing that really inspires me is watching my students, and I try to see as much of them on stage, whether they're in their middle school production or whether I went on a cruise to see one of my students who graduated performing as the lead singer. So that really makes me very happy.
Well, I'll tell you something. I don't remember it was 85 or 86. I saw Faith Prince in Groucho at the Lucille
Yeah.
Lortel Theater. And she walked out on stage, and it was like a bolt of electricity went through me. And
Mhm.
this was, she was just starting out. People did not know who she was. And she was just amazing. So, Faith, if you're watching, I still follow you. I'm not a stalker, but I follow you. So, Rachel, you're going to bring on the next guest. Pull a number 1 through 3, and I'm going to click on a button and hope that the right thing happens.
Number one.
And I'm just going to show just a little clip of her from last week. Here it is.
And what is more, with you there, there'll never be a more. 'Cause I love being here with you.
Hello, Avery.
Hello.
I am so thrilled that you're here. years ago, when I was doing my Richard Skipper Celebrates Talk Variety show, Avery was one of our guests in the show. And I instantly fell in love with her. And I am so excited that on the 16th, you are going to be appearing at 54 Below. And
Yes.
I'm going to be there. And
Yay.
I'm hoping to get as many of my friends in the community to join me as possible. Thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much. I'm very, very excited. This is really wonderful. I remember very well working with you. I guess it must have been maybe 2018, maybe 2019, when I came to New York to do For Sentimental Reasons. And we worked together so beautifully. And when I talked with you earlier this year, I said, we've got to do this again. And I'm thrilled that you're having me on today.
No, well, I'm a big, big, big fan of yours. Um, you have worked with so many incredible people in this business, but as I like to say, they worked with you. So, who are some of the people that you've worked with that have inspired you on your journey?
Well, the last person that I worked with for a long period of time was Anne Margaret.
Yes.
And I absolutely fell in love with Anne Margaret. She and I share a birthday, and she is a prankster on stage. She would pull the biggest pranks, and she had this angelic face, and you would never know it was her. And we would howl backstage at the things that she did. And when we were doing the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, she decided that, and I was doing the role of Jewel, she decided that I was the only one she wanted to have in the wings because she felt safe with me being there. That was really so very sweet. But I worked with Burt Reynolds, who was my real mentor. I mean,
Now,
he
Burt Reynolds and I share a birthday.
did you? Do you? Oh, okay. How sad. See, no wonder I love you. That's really absolutely. He was just um he took me by the hand and he walked me through this business as a youth, and he said, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is who you are, and these kinds of things. And it was just an amazing experience here in South Florida, which is my home and where I am now. And I just absolutely love it. But Richard, I must say that right now I am very inspired by people, and this is a bit off subject, but I'm inspired by people who are going to a place called LA Fitness. And the reason I'm inspired is that long, long, long story, very short. I had a very bad accident 2 years ago, and I am in rehab. And I am thrilled to be in rehab. I was never a gym person ever. But I go there now 3 times a week because I must get my stamina. I must get my footing. I must do all of these things for myself because I decided that I am not a has been. I am an up and comer. And I am just on my way to starting the second half. Like Rachel, this is the second half of my life. And when I go to LA Fitness, these people are there with loss of limbs. They've got all sorts of issues, but we are there every day and everybody cheers everybody on. There's none of this body shaming that I hear used to happen. Doesn't happen. It's a lot of cheering for each other, caring about what's happening. You go, you can do this, you've got it. Come on, one more time. And that's where my inspiration is coming from for me to get my act back together and get back on stage, which is where I live.
That's wonderful. One of our viewers, Pam Stubbs, is asking, and I think I know the answer to this already. Were you in the Kennedy Center production of Whorehouse in January? I think. Are you saying of 2008? I don't know. In the 19
Yes,
in the 19,
yes, yes. That was me.
and that was Gary Sandy. That was also in
Yes,
that.
that's right. Gary
that
Sandy.
yes.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
a little later on, as I wrap things up today, I've got a great Burt Reynolds story that
All
I want
right.
to share about how he inspires others. Stick around.
All
We want
right.
you to stick around, but we're going to bring on our second guest. So pick a number, one or
Sure.
two.
One, two,
Okay. You want to bring up two or number
two,
one? Number
two.
two. Now, let me see if this works. This is a very quick Uh,
Something is wrong with me.
and Mary's welcome back to the show. She's going to be coming to Don't Tell Mama on the 17th. I'm going to next month, and I will
And
be there.
19.
And the 19th, cheering you on. But I love this title, From 8 Tracks to Live Streams. What was the first 8 track that you remember?
The first 8 track that I remember is probably Color Me Barbara. Because I used to listen to, most people, they don't start out having their own music. They listen to their parents' music. And so when I was little, I would sit in the back seat and I'd listen to Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and Barbara Streisand and Burt Bacharach and Lena Horne, and the list goes on and on. So yeah, that's the one. That's one I remember. And I don't remember the name of the Frank Sinatra album, but yeah.
But when did the shift happen? When it went from being your parents' music to your music?
Probably not long after, when I was in elementary school and I had my first solo. I'm giving away my show, Richard. I sang a
These are
Karen
just
Carpenter
teasers.
song. Karen Carpenter. So that was my music, not my parents' music. So I would say, it started pretty soon after that, when I was 10, 9. I don't know. I sang along to everything as soon as I could speak. So, and we used to listen to the cast albums, Broadway cast albums at home too, and watch TV and go to the movies and all that.
Wow. Now, Anne, I know that you may have another appointment that you may need to get to. So if you need to sign off, I absolutely understand that. We'll keep celebrating upcoming projects, but stick around as long as you can. But if you have to leave, I understand. So, Mary, I mean, you've got this incredible team that you're working with. As you're putting this team together, how do you put the team together for the show that you're going to do?
That varies all the time. I do a lot, but this particular one, the way it came about in several different ways. My first introduction to Gregory Toroyan was during the pandemic. I took online classes with Lena Kachakis, and she had guest musical directors, and one of them was I'm going blank. Gregory and because I was thinking about Rick Jensen, and he unfortunately never made it to the program. And the other one was Becky Menzie from Chicago.
Wow.
And so, just like in Chicago, Becky played for me. And then, so I got connected with Gregory Toroyan, and then I did a program called Soulful, which we performed at the Laurie Beachman. And that's where this entire band, who you just heard a little snippet of, I just recorded with them in New York City, Spin Recording Studios. And the background singer, by the way, was Lena Kachakis. Wow. Anyhow, so it's Gregory Toroyan on piano. It was Ted Kushian just rocking out on the Hammond organ. It was the amazing Peter Kalo, who had an entire symphony in his guitar. It was the incredible Skip Ward on bass, the amazing Dave Silliman on percussion. And it's what a joy, and that, talk about inspiration, just floating on the music, having it envelop me and just fill me up. It was wonderful. So, but that's been really hard, long distance. But fortunately, I have double excuses to come to New York from Florida because our kids live up there. Another inspiration. And that song I was inspired to sing because it's so true. When something is wrong with my baby, and I mean my honey, my husband, I just can't function. So, but anyhow.
I can't wait to see you up here. I'm going to bring on our next guest because she's been waiting patiently in the wings. And she's a new addition in my life. I went earlier this year, I had Frances Garner on the show. If you don't know Francis, look him up. Incredible entertainer. Check out the recent interview that he just did with Sean Patrick Murtaugh. Great, great, great interview. But I went to see his show, and he had just appeared at the Post Office Cafe in Provincetown. And so we were talking, and he was telling me about his amazing publicist. So I reached out to her, and she became my publicist for my recent show this summer. And so, Michelle, welcome to the show. And it's
Thank
great
you.
to see you face to face.
It's great to see you as well. Thank you so much for having me. This is really terrific to meet such inspirational artists here, many of which I get to enjoy in my business.
Well, I want to talk about your business because you're on the opposite side of the fence, and you and I have had discussions about this. But what do you think the biggest misconception or misperception of what a publicist does or does not do?
Well, you might call us a Girl Friday in my in my industry. We do a lot of interesting different things, and publicist is only one facet of my work. And also, I'm an artist myself as well, a fine artist, a singer, vocalist, a cappella, and previously was engaged in musical theater. So I take all of those aspects.
And a best-selling author.
Okay, and a cookbook author as well. Thank you, pandemic. So I have the privilege of being able to collect all of those threads of the fabric of my creativity and apply that as an art form and make a career out of it. And in that mindset, I'm able to look at the work that I do with each one of my clients through a different lens, being in their shoes, understanding what their challenges are, and also being an excellent conduit to get to the media and tell their story. So that way we can get the word out and sell tickets and fill audiences. That's how I gauge my success.
What do you think the biggest challenge is for both artist and publicist in today's world where everything is so fractured right now?
Sure, yes. Well, for sure, performing arts industry is suffering badly from the climate of post-pandemic world and also from the political climate trying to sustain audiences. And I'm actually doing some research on that myself on behalf of my clients right now. But also just trying to stay abreast of the changes and innovations in media and manage lead times and collateral. So often clients will come to me and they want to get visibility for an event, but they haven't even started to collect things like headshots or marketing materials. And by the way, it's going to be in 4 weeks, And
Right.
so the media works on crazy lead times. So I have to be that conduit between my client and this very large landscape of the media to help navigate them and push them towards understanding what our lead times are and what our success rate can be with more time. We need more time in advance. So I would say that's one of the biggest challenges.
How did it start for you? I mean, what was that moment where you said, this is where I really want to post my energies? And how long was that, number one? And what is the biggest change that you've seen in the industry since you started that you absolutely love? And what is the one change that you absolutely abhor?
Okay, great. So I my public relations company is 16 years old this year. So I've had some time behind me, and thank you very much. And prior to that, I worked for another wonderful firm, and my longtime mentor, Jim Farrell, and PR First business owner, was the person and the inspiration to send me off to start my business with my very first client and longtime friend, renowned playwright and educator, Gail Phaneuf, Boston, New York, and now located at Deer Trees Theater in Maine. We've taken one of her musicals off Broadway. So I've had a lot of interesting clients over the years. Starting in the industry, for me, it was trying to create this proprietal method of understanding what the creativity is in this industry and applying traditional methods methods of how media works and making sure that the storytelling shines through so that the reader or the listener can actually capture the essence of what's going to happen when they go to a show or they listen to a concert, and how that can span all of the work that they do in their career. One of the things that I struggle with is the advances that have been made in media and the kind of evolution of it. When I first started in public relations, just as an example, the Boston Globe, a very famous, regional and recognized worldwide, honestly, publication, had a staff list of more than 800 members on a daily basis inside their newsrooms. And within 5 years, that list was diminished down to less than 300 people. And now you see the advent of AI technology also affecting writing, journalism, media. And what does that do to us as artists, right? How do we maintain the integrity of originality and creativity in every field that we reach? So it's a very interesting landscape, and I'm super grateful to be able to make a career at it.
Well, that's great. Well, I want to go around with each of you, and I want to ask questions that I put together about inspiration. I'm going to, bring this up, and Anne once again is going to be at Chelsea Tables and Stage on the 28th. With all of these artists
of October.
What did I say?
Just the 28th.
Oh, October 28th. Thank you. It's on the screen, October 28th. So, Anne, when you say inspiration, what does that mean to you? And how is it different from motivation or discipline in your process?
Well, inspiration feeds my discipline. But inspiration itself, I'm not a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. And I just feel like there's some association between spirituality and inspiration. The most important thing is to not get in the way of it. It's a feeling. I get a feeling. Does anyone else get a feeling when they know that it's just pure inspiration? Yeah, right?
Well, I just saw a show called Son of Zeus. And one of the characters, it was a one-person show, but he played all these people in his life. And his mother, true story, was a belly dancer. And she said, when I enter, I do it for God. When I hit the center of the stage, I do it for you, the audience. And when I exit, it's for me. And that inspired me. That one sentence was like, yes. And I was thinking about this as an actor, and maybe all of you women who are still performing, entertaining, will think about this. As an actor, we enter a scene, or we enter the process. If we're really thinking as actors, it's not just us walking on stage and saying that first line. It's what happened with that character before they walked on stage. So now I'm thinking as an artist doing cabaret work, that when I enter the room, what has transpired within myself before I walk out into the room? And that, to me, goes along with what you're saying, Anne. I think it's very much a spiritual process. I think it's going from here to here to there.
Yeah. Well, an old acting trick that it's a trick, but I still use it, is whether it's just before I enter or just as there's the introduction to the music or whatever. I do this thing. I just internally, I think, oh my gosh. And that, oh my gosh, is different for every single entrance that I have. So if I'm entering into a comedy song, that oh my gosh is telling me something else. But what it does is it makes me alive before I do anything. And it it just gets me focused into, I did the homework. I did the homework backstage. I did the homework in my home, right? So now it's just, what are those triggers that can get you that place? And oh my gosh, people say that all the time, right? They say it, probably say, oh my God, but they say it when they're happy, they say it when they're horrified, they say it when they're sad, they say, when they're surprised. So it's just like, it really helps me to just, lift off.
That's great. Rachel, what's the earliest seed of inspiration that you still carry with you with the work that you do today?
Well, I would say when I was really a little kid and I was singing everywhere, I just remember my grandmother we had a big birthday dinner for my grandmother, and my sister, my cousin, and we walked around to everyone and we sang I Write the Songs by Barry Manilow, because we thought that was my grandmother's favorite song, so that's one of my earliest memories. But I remember that I was in second grade, and we wanted to put on a play and they weren't doing one at our school. So a group of us got it together and we did this like Halloween play, and I played Raggedy Ann. So it was just in me when I was little, like always trying to form ways to do theater and sing. And when I
Do those memories still impact the work that you're doing today?
It's funny. They do, because in doing this show especially, I've gone back to my early life and where the spark started. And in reflecting upon that, it's sort of given me a really good retrospective look in terms of where I am now to where I started. So I do think of those times a lot. The songs that I learned when I was little, the music that, dancing the Charleston on my grandparents' 45 in their basement, this stuff stays with me. And I remember lyrics like it was yesterday, and I learned them when I was a kid. The lyrics stay in my head. Like my husband would say to me, "Is there a song you don't know?" And I think all of that just becomes part of your being, and it lives with you. And it's a great thing to live with you. How wonderful to have
That's
it.
wonderful. Avery, Rachel just used the word sparks, and that's leading into my next question. How do you catch the sparks in the wild? In other words, notes, voice memos, sketches, and keep them from evaporating into thin air?
Good question. I don't know. It's an excellent question. I don't know, Richard. I must say, I guess all of us, and I know all of us, capture these sorts of things very differently. I, but just hearkening back to something that Rachel was saying, I grew up in a Baptist church with a very, very heavy gospel sound, and that was something that I tried to get away from when I was a child, because I did not want to be identified as that big black woman who sang gospel. But as I began to get older and understand myself and understand my voice and understand my background and what I had to bring to the table, I embraced that. And when I first heard Mahalia Jackson sing The Troubles of the World, I was hooked. I knew that that was something I wanted to do, and I would never let it go. And I'm just so glad that hopefully I can capture that spark every time I present myself to someone on stage.
September 16th, we'll catch those sparks. You can be there. Mary,
Absolutely. That's at 54 Below, right? That's at
yes,
54 Below.
yes.
Yes, it is.
I posted some stuff for you on Facebook, so you my friends better damn well go, because you're missing something if you don't.
Oh,
I
thank you.
can't
Thank you.
wait.
Thank you so much.
So, Mary, a spark is not a finished piece.
No.
What is your first 24-hour move that turns an idea into a workable shape?
Good question. Well, I'm a note writer. I write list writer. I write lists and lists and lists and lists. There's what's affecting me and whatever. And when does it? Do you mean when does it transfer from just a spark and an idea into something that
Concrete.
I actually concrete? It's a slow process. It's a layered process. It's an involved, complex process. But as long as that spark is still there, then I keep going with it. But it also, because I have so much going on, I also have to say, oh, okay, this goes on the back burner right now, and this goes on the front burner right now, and this goes on the side burner right now. Just juggling. And I find that sometimes I drop a ball. And yeah, anyway, but if I could really quickly, I wanted to say one of my inspirations, this was from, can you read that? It says, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world.
That's great.
And that was from, my daughter is an occupational therapist. She took after me. I used to be a speech pathologist. I always had the spark of service and helping. And she got that. And she's an OT, and she worked at a gymnastics facility that was all inclusive of kids of all abilities. So anyway, wanted to share that.
That's great. Michelle, tell us about a constraint, whether it be time, budget, space, anything when Crunch was there that unexpectedly became the engine for a breakthrough in terms of where you approach your work.
Oh, that's an excellent question. Thank you so much for that opportunity, Richard. I do receive that kind of, challenge every day with my clients because I never know what they're coming to the table with when we first start. And I look at it, this beautiful door to open and let's uncover all of the great creative opportunity that we have. But I'll tell you what, the pandemic was if you want to talk showstopper, and I know you all know what I'm talking about, that nobody could have seen that coming. And on my son's birthday on March 15th in 2020. Yeah, I'll never forget it because it was his birthday, Ides of March, right? And the pandemic shutdown happened that day. Now, I have the privilege of serving many clients across many spectrums, from arts and culture to history and food and agriculture and nonprofits. And it's a wonderful mix, primarily arts and entertainment are my focus. So because of that, a lot of performances and in-person events happen, a lot of singing, a lot of songwriting, a lot of theater. And so on that day, on March 15th, 90 of my client events canceled in one single day.
Wow.
And so that span of the pandemic and the impact of it drove my business down by 89% that first year. And I'm so privileged though, because as creators, right, we take inspiration from all kinds of things. And I had that moment and I realized this is a bucket list moment for me. I have all of this special time. My twins were stuck at college. They had to stay at college. They were about to graduate. And I had this opportunity at hand to say, what is a bucket list thing that I've always wanted to do? And that became the inspiration for writing that cookbook that we talked about earlier. So the Creative Table, as you might imagine, was an origination of the pandemic. And it was me trying to capture all of my creativity in the kitchen and serving all of the people that I love beautiful meals as one of my creative outlets. And so in 50 days, because I had a lot of time on my hands, I was able to draft and create an entire cookbook from start to finish.
Wow.
And self-publish it. And it became a bestseller 10 days later.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
That is, thank you so much. That is not the focus of my business, but it proved to me and anybody that's listening, if you put your mind to something, you can be successful. You just have to be committed, driven, and use all of the doors and resources that come your way to open and look towards the light. Find the success at the end of the tunnel.
That's amazing. Just an amazing story.
Thank you.
And I want to talk to you about the ethics of inspiration. And when real people or communities or family, anything inform the work that you do. And how do you gain consent,
Mhm.
offer credit, and
Right.
avoid extraction?
Right. So
That's
thank you so much for asking that question.
So
as
I'm
well.
asking, and
And please, everybody chip in. I'll just answer quickly because I do have that as a facet of my business and a
oh,
concern
good. Go
on
ahead.
behalf of my clients, is that, making sure that everybody is properly credited from everything from videography to sound design to stage management to creators. I also I'm the managing director of a swing big band. So 20 of Boston region's top instrumental and vocal musicians. It's called a Swing and Affair. We have to be concerned about things like ASCAP and making sure that we're watching out for licensing and ensure that we're giving credit where credit's due. And it's so important because art is original, no matter what format that you approach it in. And everybody that originates art deserves to be credited for their work.
Thank you. Anne?
I'm going to come from a different place. So, I don't like to play it safe. But at this, but at the same time, I don't, at the same time, I, uh, I do see my role, on stage as an escape for the audience. I really do. I really feel like, especially, in most recent times, there is enough stress. I don't need to feed off of it for my show. I need to give everyone everything else but that, right? But so there's two things about that. A lot of times people have no idea that I'm using them because it's my subtext, right? And so and I don't have to get permission for that, right? Because that's what I'm using. But you saw my show the last time, and I did go into a rather extended story about my husband. And I got permission beforehand because it is kind of embarrassing. And I just said, I mean, I don't know how much I asked.
Took that story as part of my next show.
What?
I took part of that story for my next show.
Oh, did you?
Wow.
But it was funny because I don't think I said to him, "Do you mind?" I just said, "Hey, I'm going to use this story, and so just be ready." Now if he had said to me, "Oh, I'd be offended," then I'd hear him. But he knows me. He knows that I don't want to be, I don't want to be totally safe. So I do think it's important if you're going to call somebody out that they get a heads up. But like I said, a lot of times you don't have to because it's all in your head and they have no idea.
True, that's true. That's absolutely true. Rachel, I want to talk about community as the fuel for your work. How do collaborators, mentors, audience members shape inspiration without diluting your own voice?
That's a really good question. In some way, I have, especially in the past few years, I've learned to develop my own voice through different communities that I have been thankfully a part of. The first one is that I was sort of welcomed and enveloped into my synagogue choir. And that community gave me the opportunity to sing and have solo opportunities on a regular basis, which helped me get back into singing in front of people alone, which was a lot. Also, Mary Ziv and I live near each other, and Avery as well. And we've had the opportunity in our cabaret community to do master classes. That community has helped also given me a boost to find my own way to work and an opportunity and a place to do so. I've always been very much of an individual no matter where I've gone. So I'm I don't think I'm one of those people who lose myself in a group, but I think I actually find myself in the group. How do I find my own strength
Mm.
and become an individual, even if I am part of a group? It's kind of like a symbiotic type of relationship. And I've learned in this like later part of my life that is kind of amazing. I'm not forging ahead, pushing on my own. I'm finding places that welcome me and allow me to express as well.
That's great. That's great. I've got a question that I want to ask each of you as a final question today, and then you're each going to get a chance to have your final word, which I'll talk about in a moment. I want you all to think about something that has inspired you over the last week, whether it be a book, a movie, another performance that you've seen, just anything that has inspired you. And last night I saw on Netflix a movie. um, it's a good thing that Danny was at a meeting because I had one of those ugly cries. I just cried and cried, but it was for all the right reasons. I saw a movie last night called The Miracle Club, and it's with Kathy Bates and Maggie Smith. I think it was her last film, and Laura Linney, and it's about these women who all have a connecting thread in their past without giving anything away, and they all end up going to Lourdes. For those of you who don't know what Lourdes is, it's where, if you know the Song of Bernadette, where this young uh, girl saw the Virgin Mary appear to her. So they all go to Lourdes for this miracle. And the miracle that they were going for wasn't necessarily the miracle that they got. So that's something I saw last night. I recommend it to everyone. It's called The Miracle Club, and it's on Netflix. So that's something that inspired me. Mary, something that has inspired you in the last week.
So many things, but the impulse is to talk about the people that I have sung for are the inspiration. I go there hoping to do something and having it come out right, and you just never know what they're going to think or how it's going to go. I went to one place, my sound system wouldn't work. The woman in charge said, "Just do it a
I
cappella,"
wouldn't
and
know
I did.
anything about that, Mary.
Yeah, I can relate. And I did it, and she said, "Great, you were great. I'm going to recommend you." Then I did another show where a woman came to me and said, "Listen, please don't be offended if I leave before it's over. I only had 1 hour sleep last night." Well, I kept looking over. Her eyes were open. She was still there. I'd sing around. I look over. She was still there. I looked around. Guess what? She didn't leave. And that when she came out, she thanked me for the show. She said it was captivating. So the people are what is inspiring to me. They make it worthwhile.
I love that. Michelle?
Yes. Yeah. So I've been under the gun with some really heavy work commitments the last week or so, and I'm happy to celebrate a few as they wrap up. But because I've been home, I haven't been attending as many live performances as I normally do. I saw many over the summer. But just this week, I looked back into the movie spectrum, and because I serve this, this jazz standard band, and I also sing those songs. I have a favorite tune called "Beyond the Sea," and you're probably all familiar with it. And I often sing that song. But I discovered, much to my joy, that there was a movie created in 2004, and it's the story about Bobby Darin, and it features Kevin Spacey and Kate Bosworth and all these great big names, John Goodman, like really fun people to watch. And I loved it. I literally have shared that movie with at least 10 people. And then to kind of get the Bobby Darin story was really fascinating. So I highly recommend that one.
That's great.
And like Rachel said, Just in Time was electrifying. We went back 2 nights in a row. Unbelievable.
Wow. Avery?
This is a very personal one. My great grandniece, who is now 4 years old, her grandfather, my nephew, played piano when he started at 4 years old. And recently she sat at the piano and she started to play. And I'm telling you the tears because he passed on 2 years ago and
Oh,
he never got a chance to see her become 4 years old and sit at the piano. But he used to sit with her at the piano and
wow.
spread her fingers over the piano. So I always think now that's inspiration
Yeah.
because how does she know at 4 years old unless she's getting a glimpse from her grandfather who
Mhm.
sat with her at the piano and she did it and she had this huge smile on her face as if to say, I'm doing it, I did it. And so I'm just thrilled and totally inspired by her.
That's great.
Thank you. Oh, that's beautiful.
That's cute.
Anne?
Mine is going to be a story about my daughter. My my daughter has been dealing with being someone was lying and lying and lying and stole from her and all of these different things, and it was really, really, really hard for her. And it doesn't look like she's going to be able to do much about it because this person is just very sick. And you know, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for my husband and I because you know she's trying to save for college and anyway, and so you know I was really amazed because this happened probably about a week ago. I was really amazed yesterday when she came down to talk to us, and she's like, you know, she says, I get it. She said, she said, I'm embarrassed that this happened to me, that I was fooled, you know. And I said to her, honey, everyone is fooled sometime in life, like everyone. It's just, you know, it was your turn, like you
Tell her
know.
to
But
call me. Tell her to call me.
yeah, and I told her that too. I said, and don't think it only happens to people your age. It happens to people my age. And I said,
Yes.
she was like, but you know, he's really sick, and I'm gonna be fine. And you know, and I could just see her life condition, you know, finding a way to not let this horribleness just keep her down. And I just was really impressed with her.
That's
Nice.
wonderful. Thank you. Well, God bless her. And she is a very special lady. I know her very well. Rachel, something that inspired you in the last week.
Well, I have to say that I went back to teaching this week in the college and just watching the enthusiasm. I teach the seniors in a BFA program and then sophomore and junior musical theater. So actors, singers, and just to watch their desire to learn and the work that they're doing and how we're going to make it more truthful and make it about the other person and give them techniques and then them giving me back what they brought to the table. And it's just incredible to watch young people and their minds work. And you can give everybody the same exercise and each one has a different interpretation. And that just inspires me as I get ready to do the show this weekend, that they do it and so can I, you know, and I just love it. And I love being a teacher and I love being a performer as well. So it was a wonderful week.
That's great. And I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see all of you on stage again. I'm going to give each of you a chance to have your final word today. It could be about anything that we spoke about that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any final message that you want to leave everyone with. Before I give my final word today, I want to share a story about Burt Reynolds that I was recently watching an interview. That's my guilty pleasure. I watch a lot of interviews on YouTube. And I was watching an interview with Ted Lang, who played Isaac on The Love Boat. And after Ted Lang finished The Love Boat, he couldn't get arrested in California. He is auditioning. Everyone thought he was typecast in this role, and he couldn't get any work. And then he got a phone call from Charles Nelson Riley. And I know a lot of you know of Charles Nelson Riley as being a great comedian, but he was also a great director. And he asked Isaac if he would go, Ted Lang, sorry, Isaac, Ted, if he would go on the road with Driving Miss Daisy. And so he is doing the national tour of Driving Miss Daisy, and they got down to Florida. And Burt Reynolds' dinner theater was in Florida. So Charles called him up and said, "We're going to be in Florida. We're going to do the show at Burt Reynolds Theater. I would love it if you would come in and do a master class with the kids." Now, before you answer, there's no money. This would just be out of the goodness of your heart that you would come down and do this. And he said, "Sure, what do I have to lose?" So he did this master class. A few weeks later, he is in California, and a friend of his who happened to be the casting director for Evening Shade called him up and said, "I have to go and deliver something to Burt Reynolds. Do you want to go with me?" And he says, "Well, I've never met Burt. I'll go and see him." And Burt Reynolds came up to him and said, "I heard what you did for my students. And I want to just say that means a lot to me, that you took the time to do that when you weren't compensated, everything." And the casting director said, "If you thought he did such a great thing, why don't you just put him on the show?" And Burt Reynolds said, "That's a great idea." And they wrote this part for him. And
Aw.
it all stemmed from that moment of saying yes. And that's my message for today. Say yes. So many of us are quick to say no, or let me think about it. I don't know. When if we just take that moment to say yes, perhaps we could change someone else's life. Those of you who know me and my shows, by the way, I'm returning. It hasn't been announced yet. So I'm returning to the Laurie Beachman on November 21st at
Nice.
7 o'clock
Ooh.
with a revamped version of my show.
Wow.
A lot of the elements will be there.
How do you improve on perfection?
What?
How do you improve on perfection?
Well, it's constantly, we're going to take it to another level. But, I end all of my shows with this same message. Go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Now, I want each and every one of you on the panel today to do what I'm going to ask you to do. And I want everyone who's watching to do the same thing. And then I want you all to report back to me what transpired. I want you to call the 9th name in your address book just to say hello. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message. And you're not asking for something in return. You're just calling to say hello. That's all. That's it. I have a dear friend, Sean Moniger, and he says we're all in the same storm, but we're in different size boats. And I always say, I don't care what size boat you're on, as long as you have a skipper by your side.
Oh,
I'm going to leave the screen. I'm going to be seeing
fabulous.
all of you on stage very, very soon. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Michelle. And when you
Yes.
finish, you will pick the next person, and
Okay.
so on, and so on. And when the last person says goodbye, I will end the show so you don't need to worry about how to do that. So thank you all. And Michelle, it's all yours.
Oh, why, thank you. So just again, thank you so much, Richard, for having us today. And I'd just like to say that inspiration, as the topic of the show, it's not an improbable, rarity that some people think it is. It is everywhere. It whispers to you. And if we just embrace and assimilate that into our souls every day, and you show up with curiosity and believe in that what you're doing, then that clear-minded inspiration will find you. What about you, Avery? What do you have to say?
Wow. Well, I totally agree with you, first of all. And I am a sunshine person. And I say that because I live in Florida and it never gets too hot or too bright for me. But I like to bring sunshine everywhere I go. I try to at least elevate the room when I walk in. So hopefully that is something that I'm able to do each time I venture out of my door, and hopefully everybody will grab on to that sunshine. I teach drama and I teach scene study at the Maltz Theater, and we always have such a wonderful time. And I hope that I can bring that to each place that I go and show up. And every time you go somewhere, show up and show out.
Yeah.
Now, who you want to pick, Avery?
Mary.
Thank you, my dear Avery. Oh, so much inspiration. I think we're all part of this great cosmic nexus, something celestial. And not all of those connections are delightful, but I know my tendency, like Avery, is to seek the light. And Richard, thank you. You are a huge cosmic light out there for all of us. And like the others, I do love teaching. I teach senior communities. I'm teaching at the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute coming up in this fall. And I love that Say Yes. And yeah, that's good. Anne, I can't wait to meet you at the Cabaret Convention.
Yay! See you on what, October 21st?
I'll be there all 3 nights, and I know you're singing the 21st, right?
Which night are you?
I'm not singing. I'll just be there.
Oh, okay. Well, then you definitely have to say hi.
This year.
Not this year. That's right.
Not
That's
this
right.
year. I'm manifesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
your
I can't wait
turn.
to see you live.
Yay.
Me or you? I couldn't hear her.
I couldn't either.
Oh, I'll do it. I'm just gonna say really quickly that I'm realizing, honestly, just with this experience with you, Rachel, and Mary, and Avery, and Richard, that and also I've been teaching kids in public schools at an elementary school level music program, and I'm just realizing that the passion that comes from you and that comes from Avery and that comes from Mary, the passion that I see in the kids, that's really what inspires me. I mean, it makes me like, I'm going to leave this and I'm going to go over and I'm going to sing a little bit. It's like I need to do something, because it's just this, you all really love what you're doing, and so do I, but I mean, you really love what you're doing, and I could totally feel that in this exchange. And I'm sure it inspires anyone who watches it, that passion. So that's what I have to say about inspiration. You got it all, Rachel.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm the last one on the call right now. I want to thank Richard and all of the wonderful women who were part of this panel, Mary, Avery, and Michelle. Great to meet those of you that I'm meeting for the first time, and great to see those that I know. Inspiration anywhere, and you need to be open to it, and you need to recognize whether it's something really small or something really large. And I think if you're open, then you can allow the light to come in and be creative. And even if you're not in a creative industry, you can bring that to your personality, and that's what you give off. That can be inspiration. And if you really liked Richard's Say Yes motto today, you're going to love my show. So come see me on Sunday or Tuesday at Don't Tell Mom at 7 p.m. Thank you all.